Hey guys, it's Malls. Thanks so much for listening to Please Advise. Just a quick message before the show. Don't forget to subscribe in iTunes. It's super helpful for us and super helpful for you. You can also call 323-450-7408 to get your calls on the show. Again, 323-450-7408. Or email askpleaseadvise@gmail.com with your voice notes or emails. Thanks so much. Hey everyone, it's Malls. It's episode 130 of Please Advise. My guest today is Gaby Dunn, who I know because I did her podcast Bad with Money, which made me feel like I could do anything I wanted today because she and I have already done probably the most intimate thing you can do with a person, which is discuss your financials in deep detail. Hi, Gaby.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. It's a blustery gray day in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked out of my door not knowing if it was going to be a sunny Saturday or a indoors day. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, right? I was saying to Christina, too, you get a very false sense of what the rest of the city is like up here in particular. Like yesterday, I got dressed for a meeting and I had on like a sweater, another kind of like sweatery thing and a jacket. And then I drove down the hill and I was like, oh, it's like hot in Los Angeles
Different
today.
climate, completely different climate.
Yeah, it's extra blustery up here. But girl, I wanted to ask you, so you're like originally a YouTube kind of person, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still am.
Yeah, so why aren't you at Playlist?
Oh my God. How do you know about Playlist?
I don't know, but I was laughing my ass off last night because, well, first of all, just like I'm aware of the internet.
Okay.
And then I just like was watching Snapchat people I know, like I know Elijah and Christine. I know a bunch of just like,
I just met them at the Shorty Awards. You want to talk YouTube?
Yeah, they're great.
They're great.
And I was just like laughing about, and then also I got really into like stalking like the MagCon kids because I watched Chasing Cameron. I've been on a real journey with YouTube lately.
Yeah.
And then also I was really invested in the Daddy of Five drama.
Yes.
And they were going to not take Cody to Disneyland, but they were going to take him to Playlist. And so I was like, or VidCon or something. And so one of the two, I forget.
Oh my God.
And so I was like, poor Cody doesn't even get to go to either of those now because he's been removed from the home. Like just
for the best, I think.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so last night for some reason I was sitting at my desk, dead sober, probably 1:00 in the morning. I had just taken my sleeping pills. And I just started I was just like, should I tweet like, do you think people are doing cocaine at Playlist right now? Which
they absolutely
was not
are.
funny to me. Like it's not funny. It makes no sense, but for me,
no, it does because they're like
amped anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're like rock stars. Why wouldn't you?
Right? Exactly. So
yeah.
This is like laughing, thinking about, first of all, the age discrepancy between some of the people I know that are there, where it's like there's this one Musical.ly girl that I follow. I'm so sick.
You're better than I am. You know more than me.
Well, I mean, how else am I going to get to know these characters?
Right.
If I don't, you know, and I feel like I need to know these characters. These are who people are now.
I know.
Some people are now. And so I like to know the spectrum. And so I follow this like 13-year-old Musical.ly girl that was at Playlist. And I'm also following like Elijah and Christine who are like perma drunk. And so I just was like, oh shit. Like this must just be the wildest event. Like, do you think so many virginities are lost at Playlist?
Absolutely, yeah. We've never been invited to Playlist, which is very weird. And then someone was like, "Oh, you can just ask and go." And I was like, I was like, "No, I don't want to ask. Like, they should ask me." So whatever. Shout out to Playlist. Ask me to attend. But then we go to VidCon, which is at the end of June, and we've gone like 3 years in a row. And I don't know. I like VidCon better.
So I met with someone yesterday who's like a grown-ass woman, and she has a 14-year-old kid, and she was like, have you been to VidCon? Because, of course, like, I mean, I can't go 20 minutes without discussing all of my passions.
Right.
And so, of course, I'm like, so have you guys watched Chasing Cameron?
You would fit in so well there.
And so then she was like, have you been to VidCon? And I was like, I don't think I can go there. Like, that's too dark. And she's like, no. I took my daughter last year. And she's like, of course, I have like the parent wristband on. And I'm like on a totally different plane than all these other people. She's like, I had the best time. She's like, I'm going back this year just for me. She's like, my daughter's like definitely coming. She's like, but I just want to be around that thing again.
It's fun. I mean, it's totally I think I have a different experience there because I'm like shuttled around in the back and put into cars, and like it's like a big, because we're like one of the featured creators when we go, so it's like a big thing. I went years ago before I ever did YouTube as a reporter, and I wrote about it, and so that I got to like walk the floor and talk to people and interview people and stuff, and then now if we walk the floor, it's with security.
Because
like
so many people are crying, right?
Because so many people are crying. And also, like, we do meet and greets and stuff. So, like, it was one year we went and we had my sister with us. And my sister's, like, very known for being bitchy. And so we had her with me and Allison. And so it was like, if people came up and were mobbing us, my sister would be like, their meetup is at 4. Please, like, leave, you know? And then now we have...
Everyone needs that.
She was great.
Every person on the verge of major fame needs the family member that's very aggressive about, you know, back off.
Because I can't look like a bitch, but she can. And she's also not a big... Like, she's just a tiny blonde girl like me, and she still was like, back up, please, everyone. And they just were, like, listening to her.
She was like your Felicia to your Britney.
Yeah. And then the next year we actually, our management came with us, and then there was like VidCon security and stuff. But,
got it.
But it's like a totally different experience. Like, we can't really walk the floor. And if we did walk the floor, we went to like the booth where our merch was and just stood like went behind the booth. And
well, Christina and I just went to DragCon, which is obviously a very different feel, but like same feel. Like, you really didn't see a lot of the stars. Like, we saw Susie Homemaker, I guess is her name, and like this very drunk man was the one who's like, look at that as Susie Homemaker. Like, he walked up to us and he was like, where'd you get that wine? And we were both like, dude, you're good. Yeah. Like, it's 1 p.m. Like, we just started. I think you're still drunk from yesterday.
Like, do they all have security, the drag queens?
I think so. And like also incredibly long lines, and they were only stationed at their merch booths. And
we don't really, there's not really lines at the booths. It's more like there's meet that you can sign. So they do this thing that's a lottery. So you sign up for a lottery and say like who you want to meet, and then they do meet and greets. So everyone kind of lines up at a certain specific time for us. So there's not like, you know, we wouldn't just stay at the merch booth, or we would like be at the panels and people could come to the different panels. So we would go to the merch booth as like a surprise. Like, we wouldn't say, oh, we're going to the merch booth and cause a line. We would just like show up there, and whoever was there would be like, whoa. Yeah. And then we would sign whatever. We had to sign like 100 or something, or like 200 posters. It's not fun. Like, we were just like in the hotel room on Friday night, like not partying, like signing all the merch that they were going to sell.
So I got a sense of this lottery thing recently, which is so interesting because they do it in the way that all of these things are done, which you're kind of like ranked by how popular you are.
Oh, yeah.
And so like I saw one girl got picked for like group 3, group 7, and then group 47. And I just was like, first of all, that would be an ego hit for me. Like, if I had to wake up one day and realize I'm group 47 at VidCon, like I'm
well, I mean, it's very like the Shorty Awards was such a slap in the face in terms of like who's most popular. Yeah. Because they had people that they were letting them in, and then they had other people that like letting them skip, and then they had other people that if you wanted to do the red carpet, they had to like put you in this holding thing outside.
Oh God.
And so like there were creators that were like arguably big names, but they were keeping them outside. And then because there were like, even in YouTube, they're such like select like star fuckers. Right. Like they like all the creators that started on the platform were outside, and then like Bill Nye got to go through, and like Nev from Catfish got to go through, and whatever. And then like it was just very obnoxious because I was like, we are the stars of your platform, and you're like, hey, fuck you.
Also, why is like me from Catfish even at?
Because they nominated him because they're star fuckers and they want like famous people there.
I was like, because there are going to be cameras there, period.
But for nominated him for, does he do a web series?
They nominated him for like best Instagram or some shit.
Oh,
right. Yeah, it's like they make shit up to like get famous people there.
Oh, that's sick. That's
it's very obnoxious. I mean,
didn't
maybe
like Khloe Kardashian win one or something, or Kim Kardashian win one year?
Maybe like a year before or something.
Probably for Snappy or something.
Yeah, but there was like, I mean, it's just kind of it's this weird divide where it's like these people are homegrown on your platform who are like really talented and big. And then you're like, that's great. Thank you so much for your loyalty to YouTube. We're going to nominate like the cast of Orange is the New Black. And it's like, okay, but fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
it just felt so obnoxious to me. And then, which I guess I shouldn't. I mean, I'm probably not going to get invited back. But I was also like,
you're going to get invited back. I don't think Please Advise is going to take down your position at VidCon. I think you're fine.
It was very, I was talking to other creators about it while we were there, and it was like very annoying and also like disheartening to be walking around being like, oh, even at like a YouTube awards show, we're still treated like shit.
You're still not mainstream.
We're still like not real, and we're still, I mean, I don't know. I have so many more things to say about that, but I'll get in trouble, I think.
I mean, honestly, here's my thing with YouTubers in general is that it takes incredible work ethic to be good at what you do on YouTube.
Course.
And like that is, I think, the difference between YouTubers and famous people is you're actually, or like regular fame. Maybe you do a movie if you're a legitimate person, or you write something or whatever. And then you take 3 months off, or like you...
Right,
you know,
and you can't... Yeah. Well, what's weird is that Allison and I, my writing partner... and comedy partner on the channel, she and I are both, she went to school for screenwriting. We're both writers. I mean, we're a little bit older for YouTube. Like, we're both actors. Sorry, I was thinking about what I want to say. Like, we're both like, we just happen to fall into YouTube.
Yes.
And so we work in this town. I mean, she and I have sold television shows. We've acted in things. She's a commercial actress. She's done other stuff. I'm an actress. Like, we do stuff. And then because we got this fan base on YouTube, we're suddenly less than.
Yes.
Or like, it's very weird. And
like you get recategorized.
And it sucks that even YouTube doesn't seem to particularly care.
So the demonetization shit that's going on, are you
God.
affected by this? Okay.
Yeah.
So how many of your videos? So if people
Wait, can
don't
you explain that?
So for people who don't know, I guess, and you can probably explain it better than I can. Apparently, there's a restrictive mode on YouTube that you can set, and a lot of people do it because they don't want to come across content with swears in it or content that's overtly sexual, but like accidentally or maybe not so. And I think that's the big debate. A lot of things are getting flagged as inappropriate.
A lot of LGBT content is getting flagged as inappropriate.
So like Gigi Gorgeous, of course, who's like so big. And so if you haven't seen her documentary, you absolutely should see it, because I sat by my computer and I like sobbed for hours watching it, which is actually a big reason why I kind of went on this journey with YouTube recently.
But also a lot of stuff is getting demonetized, not just because of restricted mode, but because of advertisers. YouTube is falling to advertising. So because they're like so beholden to advertisers, they're demonetizing a lot of content that is like quote unquote inappropriate. But a lot of the inappropriate
I thought
stuff.
that it was I thought it was advertisers who didn't want to advertise outside of restricted mode.
It could be, yeah. I mean, they don't want to advertise on anything that, I don't know. So they're not advertising on a lot of stuff that is LGBT content, causing people who make LGBT videos to make less money.
Yeah.
And then it's like de-incentivizing you to make LGBT content, when the whole point of YouTube was the democracy of like how popular marginalized people can become on this kind of thing. So it's like, it's like teens are going to YouTube to like see representation of themselves, but then people that create that kind of stuff are being disencouraged to make that. It's like sucks. Like our biggest video, our most popular video is a video. I mean, the channel is Allison and I. Allison is straight. I am bisexual. And the content, a lot of the content we make is about like my dating life or whatever. And so our biggest video that has 2 million hits is a video about me having a girlfriend that Allison is jealous of, and that video just got demonetized.
Really? So what do you guys do? It's
demonetized, I think, because I kiss her in it. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you guys get to go through the appeal process, or is there still?
We can, but it doesn't.
It doesn't guarantee or mean anything.
Doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, now in the future, it's like, well, do we literally just had a video where we were like, should we make the thumbnail this, or should we make the thumbnail something that people will click that's kind of inappropriate, or should we make the thumbnail not inappropriate at all and possibly lose views, but maybe keep the monetization? Like, it's this weird...
Making decisions like that.
And luckily, she and I make money off of writing for TV or doing other stuff or writing books and stuff like that. But other people don't have another income.
Yeah.
There's a creator that's an amazing lesbian creator who does a lot of sex ed stuff named Stevie Bobby. And she said like on Twitter recently, she's like, girl, I make $100 from AdSense. Like, I don't make any money from AdSense.
Anymore?
Anymore, yeah.
And you know what the shitty cherry is on this shit Sunday is that this is happening at a time where a lot of LGBT like editorial websites are being shut down, particularly lesbian ones.
Right.
There aren't a lot of
Why
outlets
right now.
It's just advertise. I think it's the same
Advertising
problem. It's like
time,
finding
yeah.
it's hard to find advertisers that are willing to advertise on
But
those
you-
kind of
but,
websites,
like-
regardless of how controversial the
then
content
it becomes
may seem.
but it's not controversial. That's the
It's
thing.
not.
It's like just because a thing is LGBT, it's seen as sexualized when like channels. I mean, literally on our channel, the video that got taken down is me kissing a girl who's my girlfriend, which is like, whoa, big reveal. And then there's another video that we have, a sketch where I'm making out with a dude and there's like a joke that implies that he's fingering me under the table, and that is monetized. So like explain to me how that is not sexualized, but like just two girls who are in a relationship kissing is suddenly like inappropriate. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And I would think that there would also be like similar to after the election, like for every company that's pulling themselves from these websites or from restricted mode or whatever, there'd be like people that are like, oh no, we're here for this. Like we want people to know, like especially younger brands, like all of the brands that do our podcast. Like I feel like that's like an awesome opportunity for a company like Lola or something.
Right.
To step in and be like, no, we're here for this content. We stand here for this.
I don't know if they have as much money as these other places.
I mean,
do.
like Tide versus, you know, whatever. I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
It's a really weird time, especially because YouTube was made to be this place that's like fostering these really great voices, and there's no incentive for them to keep going. They don't make any money off of it anymore.
I wonder who generally buys more, liberals or conservatives.
I don't know. I don't know.
You know, because I mean, like, it's like, I feel like that. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like conservative people are usually just like penny pinchers, or they're fucking straight up poor and they have their politics super backwards.
There's some kind of. I'm reading something now about how there's like conservative billionaires basically own our government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's that area of conservatism that like pulls for the trickle down effect where they want those tax breaks for the rich. There's a reason why they tend to be.
Yeah, I mean,
people.
there's like this.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying who purchases more. I think it's probably the young people that are out there actually going and buying their fucking laundry detergent and stuff like that are actually more likely to be your consumer.
I don't think they're thinking about it like that. I think they're thinking about like the 8 billionaires rather than like the 20,000 college kids who are liberals. I don't know. I mean, there's this thing that like lesbians don't spend money. That's like the bit. What? Yeah, that like lesbians don't spend money. Well, because it's two women, they both suffer the pay gap. Arguably, like they both, like if they both work in fields, whatever, they both suffer the pay gap, so they have less money. They probably have kids sooner than like. So they have less money there. Like, there's this thing that, like, lesbians don't spend money.
That is wild to me because all the lesbians I know are very wealthy and live fabulous
home
lives.
With their cats.
Like they, I mean, like I guess it's Hollywood power lesbians that I'm thinking of. But I've never heard that.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's the argument of like why advertisers don't bother with lesbian websites or whatever, because there's like this thing that lesbians. I mean, I wrote a movie. My friend and I wrote a movie, and the movie has like a lesbian plot. And when we've pitched it a couple times to dudes, they've been like, "How well do lesbian movies do? Do lesbians pay to see movies?" And
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I'm serious. That's like been asked to our fucking faces. I don't think lesbians spend money on films.
That's really wild.
But the thing is also that like you have to like there's a lot of people that are marginalized that like can't afford to see movies.
Right.
But then it's like, fuck you. Like then take it around to LGBT centers and show it for free. Like who gives a shit?
Totally.
But,
And
like,
also, there's precedence of where that is. I mean, blue is the warmest
Sorry,
color.
I have sniffles.
Gabby's crying.
I have sniffles. No, I just have allergies.
She just has allergies.
I'm hysterically crying about how no one will buy my lesbian movie. Hold
I know
on.
you're like Kim Kardashian level crying.
Yeah.
The irony of that is that I cried so much on her podcast. But
Oh, I know.
but I cry on this podcast too. But there's precedence. I mean, obviously there's a lot of examples in which lesbians have been portrayed very poorly in big blockbuster movies, or the message has been really off.
But they don't understand.
First
it's
one
that
that comes to mind is Chasing Amy, but like that was a gigantic movie.
One white guy who like wrote a movie about lesbians, and then like it didn't do well, and then because the characters were terribly written and played by 2 straight actresses, and then they're like, well, I guess it doesn't work. Mine didn't work, so nobody's will work, and it's like, okay.
What was that movie where Rashida Jones? I think Zoe might have been the other lesbian in it, and it was My Idiot Brother. Yeah. It was a really awkward movie.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then but like Blue is the Warmest Color was gigantic.
But that was a European film. That
was
wasn't
Imagine
made here.
Me and You.
Wasn't made here. Imagine Me and You was years ago.
Yeah.
Was like the fucking 90s.
I know. That's the only one I could
out?
think of. It's
I mean, when did that movie come out? Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's a nightmare.
I will say in general, I do think that that's a gigantic mistake that's always made. First of all, people just want things that are bankable and reliable. At the end of the day, they just want to be like, oh, I know I can make money doing that.
But
so
if it's
do
authentic, people are hungry for the content. If it's authentic, Tangerine, like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh no, I agree with you.
Because the director, white guy, but the director let the actresses, he was like, if something doesn't feel real, like write your own dialogue.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But I mean, I guess this is also me explaining it to myself again, because I have fought so hard to understand why people are like, oh no, that's not going to work as a project. And I'm like, well, wait, why? Like, why have you decided that?
Right.
And it's because ultimately I've just had it explained to me over and over again is that people want to keep things really safe. They want to know that we put this actress in place, we attach this producer, this is going to make its money back. It's going to be fine. But I'm really tired just as a creator myself of people being like, oh, no, you can't do that because so-and-so tried that a few years ago and it didn't work out. And it's like, dude, like, well, so-and-so was not me.
Right.
And like, we would never have the same take. And I don't know if their producer would even be interested in me. And maybe that's the reason why it didn't work out. Or that studio was very conservative.
Yes.
Or whatever. There's a million reasons why things don't work out. And that's just something that's thrown at creators all the time here, I think, is just like you get shut down before you even get off the ground.
So it's disappointing. We have an entire channel. We've had a 3-year-long, like basically sitcom on our channel, 3-year running sitcom with like an out bisexual character who doesn't die, who is like a happy queer woman. You know what I mean?
How amazing. She's alive.
Is that usually the case? Is that bi women die in TV?
Lesbian women
die in TV all the time.
And on SVU, I remember that very, very famous reveal that I'll never forget. Which I was just like, wait, what? Do you remember this?
No.
One of the DA or whatever gets like shot, and like at the spoiler alert, you guys, sorry you missed SVU from 12 years ago, but this woman, no, not Cabot, she's the blonde one who's really like
I think you're thinking of regular Law and Order.
No. Was Cabot, and then there was what's her face, Diane Neal.
Not the redhead, but the blonde.
That's
one.
Diane Neal.
Oh,
that
maybe it was Cabot.
Alexandra Cabot, the blonde. Yeah.
So she gets shot.
I don't know the names of all the DAs on SVU.
Oh, good. So she gets shot, and like literally, we know nothing about her life. We know nothing about this woman, like up to this point, except she's like really hard. She's a great lawyer.
Yeah.
And her final line before she dies is this because I'm a lesbian?
What?
Yeah.
Wait, I have to look that up. I'm sorry.
Whoever the blonde, fuck the name, whoever it was, her final line on the series after being a series regular.
No way.
We had no idea she had a girlfriend. We had no idea she had a home life.
Hold on.
That happened on regular Law and Order, and she was fired. She didn't get shot. No, so she's like, is this because I'm a lesbian?
I've never seen regular Law and Order.
I'm telling you, I remember, because I remember this.
Hold on. I'm looking it up. We're just edit this part out.
It's Elizabeth Rom. And then she played attorney Serena Slytherin.
What is it? How
and
do you spell
she
it,
goes,
Serena?
She says, the DA branch wasn't a big shocker. It was her response. Is it because I'm a lesbian? She questioned. It was one famous Law and Order exit. That's regular Law and Order.
I can't read that. But
What's
did
her
she
name?
die or did she get shot?
She didn't die. She didn't get shot. She just got fired. And then in response to her getting fired, she said, is it because I'm a lesbian?
Wild.
But that's like,
I guess I have seen regular Law and Order.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
But also,
you merged a lot of storylines there.
But yeah, there's this big thing that it's called Bury Your Gays.
Okay.
And it's basically a TV trope where lesbian characters or queer female characters die at like a alarming rate as compared to straight characters.
Yeah.
And so like, so I like our show essentially, so YouTube is kind of was like a way for us to subvert this kind of thing. And now it's like, we're not incentivized to keep that going. Like Allison and I have talked about like how much of me being like bisexual can we keep in the show if we want to keep making money. But luckily we have other means of income because we work in this town. So like we can just be like, fuck you.
Well, can you take your series and sell it to like a full screen or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've done stuff like that. Yeah, we've done stuff like that. But it sucks because right, exactly. Who are not as lucky as we are.
That's the other thing too, is that when someone like you feels that, you can only imagine who someone who doesn't have your success feels it. And so that's what's fucked up about it.
So we can keep doing what we're doing. Oh, baby.
He screams when he wakes up. Sorry.
Oh, so we have that in common.
He's fine.
Oh, Wags. Does Wags make appearances on the podcast all the time?
Sometimes, yeah. When he's, I would say once an episode he acts out. Yeah.
That's good odds.
Yeah, it's not bad.
But so there's like people who aren't as lucky as us definitely are disincentivized to make stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they won't make money. But it doesn't matter to us at this point. Like we could keep it going, but we're just lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks.
Fuck.
And in mainstream media, it's like we're comedy, so hopefully like and I'm like one of the main characters. So in everything that we do, hopefully there won't be any kind of we should kill Gaby off.
Right.
But it's
Well, I mean, has there been any internal talk about like you guys getting together and starting another site that's not a YouTube that's taking the biggest creators from you? Like,
we haven't talked about that, but we were saying that it's like ripe for a competitor to come out.
Because there's also there's also people who have nothing that are like news people or people that just like talk about things that might be considered like, oh, this is, maybe a touchy subject or whatever. And
a friend of mine who's a channel called Marina Shut Up, she just posted that a video that she made about her eating disorder got demonetized. Yeah. And she was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to like help people.
Yeah. And I feel like there has to be some major media company that can get behind that and say,
Can't they? I mean, it's perfect timing for them to come out with a competitor.
And all your views are there, and like leave the, like you guys have your, and we've seen before that people can do this. I mean, I feel like Grace pretty almost like seamlessly switched over from My Damn Channel to her own situation on YouTube, and that's very. Like that used to be very rare. It used to be very difficult to like.
She had a lot of
move
support,
an audience,
which was great.
But and that's of course like the highest key example.
Yeah.
Like, but there are plenty of people that could get together and be like, yeah, let's like transition this over.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that a place would, or someone who makes websites, or someone who's like in Silicon Valley could come out with a competitor.
Peter Thiel, right? I mean, I feel like he's like the warrior of Silicon Valley. Okay, so should we take our phone calls?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, wait, did you bring 3 reasons why you're qualified to give advice? I feel like I don't have to ask you because we just talked about a million reasons.
I can give 3 reasons. I went to journalism school. Nice. So that's reporting. That's and then I give advice on my channel. Our channel has love advice. And also I wrote a book.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So those are good, right?
So great.
Oh, really good. Okay, let's take our phone calls.
Hi, Molly. My name's Keisha. I live in North Georgia. I'm a big fan of yours. I'm Emotionally Broken Psycho. I listen to the podcast all the time. Listen to Please Advise all the time. So thank you for everything that you do. My question is around dating. I have been divorced for about 8 years. I'm 30. I don't sound 30. I know that. But so I've dated a lot in the past 8 years. And I seem to attract closeted gay men. And I really don't understand why. And the thing is, I don't know if these men know that they're gay and are just closeted, or if they don't know that they're gay. And maybe they're just in denial. I don't know, but, and they may be bi and maybe just are in denial about that. I don't know, but I know that these men are not just your normal straight men, and I've dated many of them. Well, I say many. It's been at least 3 or 4. And I'm just curious if you know of anybody else that's had this issue. And the problem isn't that they might be bi or, you know, that they're gay. I don't have a problem with gay people at all, but the problem is that there just seems to be this huge secret in the relationship, or this huge thing that we can't get past, and it's and it's just not, it's not fun. It feels very secretive and wrong. And I'm just wondering if you've known of anybody that's had this issue, or if you've been in this situation yourself, and maybe is there something about me that attracts this kind of person? Maybe they think that I'm gullible and won't see through it, or maybe I'm just nice and I don't confront them enough, or not that I would need to confront them, but I don't know. Anyway, if you can, please give me your thoughts and feedback. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Well, this is so interesting because
this is a good choice for me, I think.
Well,
I know how to pick the calls.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I was going to say is I don't think you should be ashamed of wanting to know if your sexual partner is genuinely like not going to be long-term attracted. I feel like she should alleviate herself of that. She sounds like she's afraid to say that she's afraid that her boyfriends are gay.
Yeah, if they're gay, that's one thing. I mean, there was a lot to unpack here. First of all, North Georgia, which I went to summer camp in North Georgia for 10 years.
Is that much different than the rest of Georgia?
No, I mean, it's just this, she just said a specific thing, but the South is its own animal. So I think like it's not shocking that there are a lot of closeted men in the South. Especially depending on where she is in North Georgia. Like, if she's in Athens, that's kind of a college town and it's funky, so maybe that they wouldn't have as much reason to be closeted. But if you're up in, like, Clayton County or fucking wherever I went to camp, you're like, I can see why they might be closeted. There might be family things.
Definitely.
There's more likely to be, like, Christian conservatives. Like, so, I don't know. I do think also, like, they might not feel safe there. And so, like, also, if they are bi, I think she said that's fine, but they might not feel, there's a lot of shit with male bisexuality. There's a lot of shit there where, like, they might think that their female partner might not believe them, or might feel insecure, or might think that they're less manly, or whatever it is. So there's, like, a lot of things where, like, male bisexuals will just say I'm gay, or will just say I'm straight, and just ignore the other half of it.
Because they're also caught up in the myth that maybe
it's
bisexuality isn't real.
Yeah, and I think especially, like, for women, they've gotten a lot more comfortable identifying as bisexual, and I think men really haven't. And so, you know, even like, it's a very, I don't know how long she's dating these guys, but it's like a very vulnerable position to be in, to tell a female partner, if you're a man, hey, I'm bisexual. There's all different ways that women react. Like, I was sort of confused. Like, for me, I would be like, hell yeah, high five. But, like, I've had female friends who have been like, I could never date a bisexual guy. Yep. And I think and that's fucked up. And I think that men would be really worried about that and would be scared to come out to their female partner. So if there are ways that she can, like, I don't know if she could, like, be like, hey, if you were bi, that would be great and fine, and I love you, and I'm comfortable, you know, just make them feel safe a little bit. But also, just going back to so that's the bi thing. But if they are actually gay, I wonder if they're just scared of, like, where they're living, and maybe she does seem safe and nice and, like, and I don't know. It's weird because it's a different thing to be like, I know that I'm gay and I'm being deceitful and I'm wasting this woman's time. Versus like, I know that I'm gay and I'm scared.
There was that woman who just like came out really publicly. That woman's Scary Mommy. She's a blogger and she just came out very publicly on her blog and then in People magazine. I just read about it recently where she said that basically her husband, she knew going into her marriage and her husband knew going into their marriage that he was a gay man, but he couldn't reconcile the romantic love he had for her versus what he knew to be true of himself. And he was just like, I am a gay man, but I deeply, deeply love you. Like, you're my best friend. And like, their sexuality dried up over the years. They did have kids, but and their sexuality dried up over the years. But ultimately, he does define himself and always has defined himself as a gay man.
Well, there's also like now there's all this breakdown of identity politics where like there's now this breakdown of romantic versus sexual. So there's some people who identify as like hetero-romantic bisexual or biromantic, like you could love all genders, but you want to only have sex with men or whatever it is. Like there's like a breakdown of it. Like I'm fortunate is a weird thing to say, but like biromantic and bisexual. Like I do want to have relationships with men and women, and I also want to have sex with all genders. But I think like there's people who are like hetero-romantic, like they would love to have a boyfriend, but asexual. They don't want to have sex with anyone or whatever it is. So maybe that's like a situation where it's less clear where like that guy was biromantic but homosexual. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That makes sense.
My question is, how does she know that they're gay?
That's what I wrote. How do you know? What's your evidence that they're gay?
Like he's like, we only do anal? Like,
I went to lunch with a girl very recently.
How do you know?
Who has a deep, I believe she kind of was tripping me out several times throughout the meal because she did seem to have an incredibly strong intuition. She told me probably about 6 stories and I'm very big on people recognizing their intuition. I think intuition is very real. Like
Allison's great at that. I call her Detective Raskin. She just fucking figures shit out.
So this girl says to me, she was talking about one of her longer relationships, and she said, I had this like really strong feeling, and I went to my other girlfriend who has a very, very keen intuition, and I asked her like, what's the deal with me and so. She's like, the bottom line is that he's gay and he doesn't know it and he never will know it. Mm-hmm. And I actually don't think that that's an impossible idea. Like, I think that there are people out there who may never know what their sexual preference is or what they...
Yeah, they don't know because I had a friend who came out a little bit later, and I think like she was like, I just did not know. And I think it's like this thing where because society is so heteronormative, you're pushed to be like, well, I guess I'm just bad at dating. Mm-hmm. Or I have to figure out like, why don't I like this certain thing, or why don't I? And they don't ever explore outside of that because it's terrifying. It's fucking scary. Like, it's so scary to think, because you picture, for me at least, I pictured my life a certain way. Like, you picture, like, even with like Barbies, like Ken and Barbie get married, and you picture your life this way. And when you realize that might not be, like, you might not have that, like, you might have to do a totally different thing. I like cried I was like, how? Because it's a death. It's like a death of a lifestyle and a realization of this other lifestyle that you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying. And if you could put that off for as long as possible, like, like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the other thing.
Especially if you're good at procrastinating and avoiding things.
Yeah. And so, like, and also you just want to fit in. You just want to be normal. Like, you're just trying. So even friends of mine who aren't queer in any capacity, but who are like, neuroatypical or whatever it is, like they're like, I just want to like,
what is neuroatypical?
Like have like mental health issues, or like it's like they're like, I just want to date, like I don't even want to think about who I find attractive. I just want to date the most normal person and like move on with my life.
Got it.
Like, I already have so much going on.
Right. They're like, let me just find a very normal partner and settle down, and like, I don't need to think about what I'm actually attracted to. I had that as well. Like, I would only date, for a long time I dated feminine women, and then I realized because I was like, you know what? It's hard enough being queer. Like, I just want a girlfriend that straight people can go, great, you did it. That girl's hot. I don't get gay stuff, but that's a hot girl. Congrats.
Yeah.
And now it adds a whole nother fucking layer. Like, I had a girlfriend who was more butch, and that was like a whole thing, like going out with her and holding hands with her and getting harassed. And like, and I was like, oh, I'm already like queer. Now I have like this element where people are like yelling at us from their trucks. Like, and you just are like, however long you can avoid that.
And that's in LA too, right? Because people.
Oh, she and I got like chased in a fucking pickup truck in Silver Lake.
Because people think that is not, that things don't happen in California or Southern California. And
it was
like,
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, did we just go back in time? What happened? Literally a pickup truck chased her and I, like followed us in Silver Lake. And I was like, what year is it? And where the fuck are we?
Yeah.
It was very strange. But like, yeah, there's just so like if you can avoid seeming not normal or whatever, go for it. Because also depictions in media of like lesbian couples is always like two hot girls or like two hot guys or whatever. But how do you? But this is the other thing. Okay, so how does she know that these guys are gay? Like, what's her evidence? Is it stereotypes?
Possibly, but I mean, I don't even know if that's the problem. I think that like whether or not her opinion is that these guys she's dating are possibly closeted gay guys is a different thing. I mean, I think that
maybe she just doesn't feel.
We can't solve that for her because she's not here. But what we can say is like, here are some things that you might want to do that are outside of your comfort zone or whatever
maybe
else.
She just and maybe she just doesn't feel attractive or sexually wanted by her partners.
Mm-hmm.
So like, regardless of their sexuality, like maybe she's feeling safe or going for people who she feels like aren't too aggressive sexually.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you feel nervous about that, so you don't want to. So you are drawn to people who are sort of non-threatening, or who feel like they won't be too sexually aggressive towards you.
I wish she had gotten into more detail with like examples, of what she felt or what made her feel that way about some of the guys she's dated.
You deserve to feel sexually wanted if that's what you want in your relationships. Like, she shouldn't be afraid of that.
I mean, is that what she said? She feels sexually
I'm just saying that maybe the people she's dating don't make her feel very sexually desired. And
also, maybe you're just dating a nice guy. And like, he's not, you know what I mean? Like, I think that can also be a big misconception too, is when you stop dating fucking assholes, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like,
and you have
this guy might be gay. He's so nice to me.
And you have this idea of masculinity where they must be assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, girl. I think you need to call back with some more details on that. And also, I would love to know, like, what... Wow. I mean, that's intense, though. I mean, she got married at 22 years old.
I thought about that, too.
That shocked me.
She got divorced at 22.
Right.
Like, so God knows when she got married.
Right.
She could have got married at 16 if her parents gave her permission. That's intense. And also, you know, when you get divorced that young, I feel like that usually means something happened. And I think that she could be finding herself looking for very safe situations that maybe are non-sexual or maybe are, you know, I don't know.
You're right.
I don't know.
I agree.
But that is, I think, the smoking gun is the early divorce. I mean, 22 and divorced.
And you want to be... Yeah, I think she's looking for someone safe and they're looking for someone safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a port in a storm. They find each other.
Yeah, I would love to know more about whether or not you actually have sex with these guys and if you enjoy it or not and if they seem to enjoy it. Because that would be probably the biggest tell.
Yeah.
As to whether or not.
I don't know.
Like, don't face me. Just
yeah.
I don't know. People get boners about weird shit all the time.
Totally. Very true. Okay, let's take another call. I wish we had more information for that call. Yeah. It's hard to just
We broke
take
it down. We
stabs in
broke
the
it
dark.
down.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with some more calls.
Hey, Malls. My name's Trisha. I'm from Santa Cruz, California. And I am a very new listener. I love your podcast. You are just hilarious. It's almost counterproductive because I work from home and I'm constantly listening to it. So you are my downfall. Anyway, calling because I have a question for you and I guess it's advice. I am 33, going to be 34. I have a son. He's 4.5. And I wanted to know what your take is on being an only child. I think this is going to be my only one, and I'm pretty solid in knowing that, but I have, all my friends are having their second and their third kid, and they're all asking me when I'm going to have another one. And to be honest, it doesn't look super appealing because I have a sister that's going through a divorce right now, and a lot of friends that do have their second and third are pretty much like a little bit nuts, or not nuts, but it just seems chaotic, and I just don't know if I'm ready to sign up for that. I love my child, but I also love my own time and, not just being a mom, and time for my husband and marriage. And so I don't know. I mean, I know that I sound like I know what I want to do, but then I also feel bad because my son is constantly asking for a brother. Yes, he says it with a V. And so sometimes I feel conflicted, and I really don't know any only children. And I know that you are one. And so I wanted to know what your experience was like. Did you really miss having a brother and a sister? Was it a good experience being an only child? Maybe the pros and cons? Anyway, I'm just kind of a little hung up on that, but please advise.
Well, none of us are parents. You guys have siblings.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who have kids, and I am an only child. So we have some opinions we can bring to the table here. First of all, I think family planning is incredibly important, obviously. Yes. And I don't think that obviously, this, you're thinking really hard about it. This isn't like an impulse decision. You're not just like, I'm going to pull the goalie, like, see what happens. Like,
and it's no one's business. Like, the other people being like, when are you going to have a second? I feel like they're just like, join our cult. We're miserable. Join our cult.
Right. And obviously, like, you're right. Like, your friends probably do. Things are going to even out at a certain point for your friends because it does become less chaotic when you have a toddler and an infant. That I can't even imagine how people survive that. Yeah. Like, that just seems insane. Your son is 4.5. I think that like 5 years between siblings is actually like not a bad number. But I will say that I wanted a brother or sister really badly until I was about 8. And then I just didn't. I was like, "Oh, this is my life." Like
you get over it.
Yeah, like you think you want a sibling because it's what you see in TV and movies. Your classmates have siblings, but I mean that's not much different than like wanting a swimming pool. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
like,
he doesn't know he's 4.
Yeah, like, and also you don't really like. The only way that I have really realized that being an only child, but particularly an only child from a single parent, is that I do worry about, especially if I don't get married, which I don't think I will, or have kids, like who's going to be on my deathbed? Like that's the one thing that I think about. Like I'm not going to have a brother. Do you need to stop?
No. Oh, I was just raising my hand like I'm going to be on your deathbed.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks, girl.
Because I'm younger than you, so.
Yeah, well, you don't know. You don't know. I could live to 100. I will not live to 100. I'll probably live maybe 64 if we're lucky.
Well, if I have kids, they'll be there for you too. You'll be Auntie Molly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's kind of sweet and depressing. But that's the only time I ever think about it. Hey, come on. But we all die alone. You know what I mean? Like someone recently did say to me, like, even if your family's like at the hospital, like sometimes they go out for a sandwich and they come back and you've died. Like that's like you die alone. Like a lot of people die alone.
You're also experiencing it alone. So you're alone anyway.
Exactly. I mean, but I will argue we were like, my mom is one of 6. So I also have that reverse perspective of it. And all of my cousins have siblings. So I will say that like when my grandmother died, there was all 6 of her kids were around the deathbed and me and her nurse. And like, I think that was a very lovely way for her to go. That's something that I think about. That's really... You should not do something because of
the future like that.
The future death plan, you know?
But it's interesting. I think the most interesting thing is you saying that you would ask for a brother or sister the same way you would ask for a swimming pool. Like you're not the 4-year-old asking for a brother or sister is like an impulse. It's
Yeah.
like 4-year-olds ask for trucks, 4-year-olds ask for Barbies. Like they think of it at the same level. They're not like thinking about a brother the way that you're thinking about a brother.
Yeah, and I didn't care where it came from. I was like,
Right.
can we like go adopt a kid? Like I
Right, you don't-
I learned about adoption and then I
don't
became
worry-
obsessed with that.
Right. Don't worry that you're disappointing the 4-year-old because they have the same emotion about it as a 4-year-old would have about like not getting the sneakers they want.
Get him a cat. Like or
Yeah.
something like that.
Get a dog.
I looked into this too, and it turns out that people who are only children have higher intelligence than people with siblings.
I was about to get to that as my own personal
I think it's good for their independence too.
This is the thing.
And imagination.
Only children have are usually more intelligent. I wouldn't include myself in that because I'm extremely dyslexic and it's so embarrassing.
Oh, hold on. Your learning disability has nothing to do with your intelligence.
I know, but I just am embarrassed all the time about some.
No, I want to state clear on this podcast that your learning disability has nothing to do with intelligence.
I do have a
You
friend.
just learned about neuroatypical, and you should be proud.
Thank you. Well, you taught it to me, and you have a sister, so there goes that example. But no, you'll also higher vocabularies because you wind up speaking to mostly adults when you're a child.
Very true.
Also, there is one thing that could be good, could be bad. Only children typically have less memories of their childhood because there's less people around them being like, "Hey, remember that time blah 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 happened? Remember that time blah 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 happened?"
So,
because parents always have a different memory of situations.
Speaking as someone, I have two. So I'm the middle child, and the one thing that I really like about my sister is closer in age to me, and she lives out here in Los Angeles. And the one thing that I really like is that she and we can relate back to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't feel as gaslit. Like I can go, remember when mom did this, and mom will go, that never happened. And my sister will be like, yes, it did. Or like, I'll be like, if you try to explain to your friend why your dad did something obnoxious, they can go, I guess that's annoying, but they don't really have the context. Whereas like my sister can go, oh, for the 15th time, are you fucking kidding? Like there's somebody there. And also like she's always kind of there for me. Like we help each other. Like she has a key to my place. And like I was out of town and forgot to pay rent, and she came and did it for me. And like, and just like this kind of, or I've like helped her move, or like it's just like these things, which I guess you
it's
can
just
get
like a
with
built-in road dog sort of.
Which like I guess you can have your best friend do it, but there's this thing where like I would ask Cheyenne to do things that I would never ask a friend to do just because I'm like, fucking do it, please. You know what I mean? And she kind of has to because we're sisters.
And also like you guys can probably, I mean, sure, there's siblings out there that don't speak, but you guys can probably do and say fucking terrible things to each other that
horrible.
Won't top whatever you've done to each other in the past.
Yeah,
and
like she's traumatized me so much. And like I mean we have, but also like, yeah, definitely like there's things that like I was not so great to her, or I didn't talk to her for like a little while she was in college because she was a mess, and I'm sure she has resentment about that. She hit me with a baton when we were kids. I probably will hold on to that till we die. Like just like there's stuff that
you're younger than her, right?
I'm older. So she's younger, and then we have an older brother.
Okay.
The brother is from my dad's first marriage.
Because I was gonna say that's a very younger sister thing to complain about getting hit with a baton.
She had more of a temper than I was like, this is the other thing. So those are great things about having siblings. Here's negatives about having siblings. I very much felt like I had to take care of my little sister to my own detriment.
Yes.
So I probably didn't.
Yeah.
So I probably didn't have my life is fine. I don't think I had as good of a life as I could have had because I was very responsible and she was very irresponsible.
Right.
And so I felt like I had to take care of her. Even like my comedy partner, her sister just had another kid. Mm-hmm. And the first kid is 4, I think. And that kid already, that 4-year-old already is like, this is my baby. Mm-hmm. She already thinks that the sister is her kid.
Yes.
And that's what happened with me, where like I at 9 was like raising my sister.
Yes.
And like there's this thing that parents do sometimes where they go like, take care of your sister, or like do this for your sister or whatever. And so if you're the older one, you feel like responsible for them, and you feel like you have to subjugate yourself so that the little one can be okay. And there was a lot of like me not complaining about things so that she would be okay. And like just it informed my personality in this way that made me very. I mean, I'm very outspoken, but like, there's very before she moved to LA, people were like, "You're so like aggressive," and I was like, "Do you know who I'm scared of? My sister.
True.
Like, she's even scarier than I am."
Yeah.
And so it's this thing where you're constantly like, she's my daughter too.
I'm terrified of Fiona, my first cousin, like that. Like, I'm terrified of Fiona.
Yeah.
Well, Gabby's making me think of questions I need to ask. I have an older brother. I'm the baby. It's
Yeah.
just me and so I'm like, ooh, I wonder how I informed him as a person.
Oh, for that younger child, everything's delightful. For the
no.
older child, it's garbage.
No, because like a lot of times you're held up on a pedestal and it's like, why can't you be like this? Or this person has like
absolutely.
this. Like the younger sibling suffers too.
There was a huge
and
thing.
I also get the shit beaten out of you all the time.
Yes.
Oh my God. I have a scar somewhere on my forehead that comes from him throwing something at my head.
There was a huge thing for me and my sister of comparing, like, of feeling like, so I was very smart. And so my parents would always say to her, like, why can't you be, not like directly, but there was kind of this, why aren't you as smart as Gaby? And then Cheyenne, for a long time, was very, like, she was just very beautiful. She was born with like blue eyes, blonde hair. Like, she was very like beautiful child and like just was like really, and I was sort of more Jewish looking when I came out.
Yeah.
And so Cheyenne was really beautiful. And so there was a lot of like, when she would come visit me in New York and stuff, they would be like, "Oh, your hot sister," or like, "Oh, your sister's hot," and like,
I get that. Yeah.
Some guy one day I said to my face, like, "Your sister's like you but hot," and like that kind of. So then I would be like mad at her for that, and so there was like this comparison for a long time. We like just kind of figured it out at like 25 and 28. Like we've just kind of come to figure out that bullshit between us.
I had something like that, but it was with a cousin. So I grew up really close to my family. My cousins actually live 2 doors down from me. And my other cousin that I'm talking about is 2 weeks younger than me.
Yeah.
And so she was really beautiful, and everyone really praised her for being beautiful, but they would never compliment me, A, in my looks, or B, for being really smart. I think because also she was dyslexic, and so they didn't want to make her feel bad.
Right.
So I don't know. I just have a real big hang up.
But that's the other thing.
Family-
If your son has cousins, like my sister and I, like we don't have any cousins, so it's just me, my sister, my brother. So if you have cousins, then the cousins could kind of be like siblings.
You do have that sibling dynamic, especially if they're integrated like early and often. And
Yeah.
I actually fell in the middle. I talked about this a lot. I'm writing a script about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I fell into a similar situation where I wasn't the smart one or the beautiful one, but I was the one that everyone wanted to be around. And I think that has shaped each of us in such a different way. I will tell you one story about a very recent gaslighting my mother did to me that happened as late as 21 years old. And I think that, like, this is the one thing I will say to you, Trisha, is just like, don't fucking make shit up, because I have put on a shield of armor now at this point when my mom starts to tell me a story that factually did not happen. And I'm like, Mom, that didn't happen. I was 21. Like, don't act like I was like 7 and I'm like, can't remember. So I interned at New Line Cinema when I was 21, going into my senior year of college. Obviously, I didn't go to school in LA. I'm not from here. So I don't know if that's obvious, but I didn't go to school in LA. I'm not from here. So I flew out here for the summer, interned, and then I was going to go back to college, finish up my senior year, and graduate. Now, my mother started to spin this yarn about how I apparently called her up a week before I was supposed to come home from LA for my senior year. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm just having so much fun here. I don't think I'm going to come home. And I was like, Mom, that's like not true. And she was like, no. She's like, I remember you were just like, I'm not going to come home. I was like, are you talking about like my junior year when I was like stoned and had a freak out that I was like not going to be able to graduate college, and that like I was just like, I don't think this is right for me. She's like, nope. You called me from LA and you said this is where I'm going to live. And she had like a friend in the car. So I'm like, are you doing a show for your friend? Like, what is this? What is this narrative that you've made up? And it was so infuriating to me because I was like, Mom, they offered me a job. I wouldn't have been able to take the job that they offered me if I didn't go back and get my degree, finish my senior year.
Right.
Secondly, like, you guys sent me out here for my internship as like my semester abroad. So you put me up at I shared a condo with a man named Steven in Brentwood. I
wasn't going to stay.
Where was I going to find the money to stay? I couldn't have had a job without, in my mind at that time, like you can't work without a college degree.
Right. So don't do that to your kid. Don't wholesale make shit up.
Because like there's so many instances of of that throughout my life. But like this one especially infuriated me because I was like, Mom, my brain was fully formed. Like I remember that definitely didn't happen. And she was so insistent that it happened. And I was like, I wouldn't have even left my sketch comedy group. Like, what are you talking?
You start to just keep receipts. You're like keeping receipts of going back and finding the phone records like you're about to be on trial for something.
And I was still on like a Dell back then. So like my hard drive was crashing all the time. So like I don't even have those sort of emails or anything going back. But I will say, look, being an only child is fucking great. One thing that is very, very important about being an only child, so that, I have my head up my ass a little bit, like a lot sometimes, but like most of the time, at least just a very little bit. But one thing that my mom was very good about, and I think that probably also was because she was a single mom, so there was a lot of like sacrifices that had to be made where it couldn't be the Molly show all the time, which is just important. Maybe just make sure with your kid that it's not the him show all the time.
Yeah. He is like has people friends over and things that are like take away from your attention on him all the time.
And I think the brother thing is very cute, but he's almost 5, so you have to start correcting him on his speech because that's going to get him bullied in high school because that's not actually a speech impediment, that's just baby talk. But that's fine. But what I will say is that I was very humbled by, I worked throughout high school. I always had jobs. I always was like accountable to other people, and I was always in club activities and sports where people were dependent on me to be there.
Yeah.
And and I wasn't the star. Like, in fact, like very humbling for me to be on like swim team. You know what I mean? Like I was not the star on swim team. So moments like that are really, really important. And I wouldn't say like push your only child into activities that
they don't want
are going to like spiritually, like destroy them. But like definitely, push them outside of their comfort zone because they will stay in their room and talk to themselves. However, that said, I have such a great sense of autonomy. I can be alone. I would have when people are like, oh, like, what if you got dropped off on a desert island? I'm like, that would be great. Like, I would just make myself laugh all day. Yeah. And I'm very used to like going out in the yard and finding a stick and playing with it. Like,
you can entertain yourself.
And that is, I think, that has been very helpful to me in my life and my career. And also when I was very broke, that was very helpful to me because I didn't need a lot to have fun.
Yeah.
So just throwing those things
There's
out there.
benefits to both. I certainly liked I like having someone that I can be like, look at these fucking outfits mom put us in, or like, I like having, but also like it depends on if you get along with your sibling. My brother and sister are not close, and that's rough.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what you started at the top of the call, where it's like planning parenthood. Mm-hmm. So you ultimately have to do what's right for you, both financially, emotionally, and,
100.
Yeah. Because my parents, I have great parents, but ultimately they decided, and they wanted to have more children, but ultimately they decided to just stop at me, not only because I was perfect, but because, it's really hard to raise kids in New York City. Yeah. And financially, it just made sense for them to have just 2 kids.
That's true. But if you just have one, don't spoil that one.
Yeah. Don't spoil the one that you have, though.
Absolutely not. No, I was definitely not spoiled. Maybe you're rid of your husband. I don't know. That's probably a good way to make sure your kid doesn't turn out too fucked up.
Definitely don't let those other moms pressure you. I hate that shit. It's that kind of like keeping up with the Joneses mentality that like really,
except with human beings.
Yeah,
which like also like I have all of my friends are pregnant right now or just had kids, and I find it very. I'm like kind of blown away that everyone I know started having kids like at the exact last time I would ever have a child, like in America. And I know that obviously I don't think anyone planned for that, but like I can't help but think like either these babies are some sort of peace offering from the universe, or like this is just maybe everyone just started fucking when they realized Donald Trump may be president. Yeah. I don't know what happened, but everyone's having babies right now.
I know, and it's terrifying because it's a pre-existing condition now.
Yeah. All right, let's take a letter, right? Or no, let's do a call. Okay.
Hey, Malls. Hey, Christina. Hey, guests. My name's Casey. I'm 22. I'm from Dallas. I am thinking about coming out to my parents. Well, I definitely know that, like, I want to do it. I just don't really know how, and I don't know how they're going to take it. Like I said, I'm from Texas, so it's a little conservative and religious down here. And also I just recently moved back home with them. So now I'm living in close quarters with them. So it's like, I don't know. It could be volatile. I'm not sure. So I just kind of was looking for some courage, some inspiration if you got any to spare for me. Yeah. So please advise.
Okay, we had Casey's call, but then Christina got a little bit of more information from an email she sent right after. So this is that.
She said, "Hi, I just called about coming out to my parents, and I wanted to give a few extra deets in case it makes it to an episode and it could help with advising.
It will.
I've been openly gay to my friends, coworkers, etc. for about 2 years now. I've just never told my parents or my brother. We were crazy Southern Baptists growing up. We attended a mega church, but my parents haven't been to church in at least 5 years, and they are significantly less conservative than when I was a kid. So it's possible that my intense anxiety about them secretly being the Westboro Baptist Church is unfounded. We're Irish and like to repress a lot of things / not talk about shit with each other.
Casey, I didn't get Irish from you. I love that.
Southern Irish, too.
I know.
So we don't really have these big end of Full House style moments together. The way I told my mom I got my period was like, hey, can I have a tampon from your bathroom? And she was like, sure. And I can buy you some more later. End of conversation. We like to keep it low key. So if you have any advice on coming out casually, in a borderline stoic Irish way, feel free to dole that out as well. I probably bogged you with info. My bad. Love the pod and hope you're doing well. Casey.
No, information is always helpful, Casey. Well, wait, can I throw out a theory before we all get in? Because obviously I'm the person at the table who knows the least about this, but I have a theory.
Sure.
Okay, so Casey's been openly gay with pretty much everyone in her life but her parents and her brother for couple
2
years now,
yeah.
right? And I sense that usually I have found with most of my friends who've come out that their parents either had an inkling or they flat out fully knew, like for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like looking at the stats and seeing that they backed off the church life about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That you guys do live in close quarters, but things aren't typically really spoken about in your family either.
Right.
Do you think that there's a chance that this isn't going to be a huge reveal to them? Like maybe that they've known for some time that either you're bi or you're gay or there's queerness or something going on there, and they're just like, this is not, we're not going to bring it up to her, but we also don't want her to feel like she can't be herself in our house.
Yeah, they probably have some idea.
Right?
Yeah. But also, I was shocked. Like, my parents we grew up religious, and then they stopped being religious once I, like, went to college, and they were like, never mind. And then, but now, and they're super liberal. I mean, they kind of always were. But I thought that I for sure thought that they knew, and they said that they didn't, which is so weird. And then, like, I was like, I like got upset, like defensive. Like I was like, what about this instance? What about this instance? And they were like, we just didn't like think about, I don't know. And I was like, that's crazy. But now I think people are a little bit more aware in 2017. Like it's more of a possibility. It's more in media. It's more of like 100%. A possibility.
I think the spectrum is probably more of the question now.
Yeah. So I think they might have some inkling, but also I think if they're so low key, then maybe just do what you did with the period situation and just be like, hey, by the way, if I bring home a girlfriend, like, would you want to meet them?
Yeah.
Like if I even just phrase it like they might know. Like just say like,
if I'm dating someone special, would you want to meet her?
Hey, quick, now that I'm living here, just a quick question. Like if I start dating someone I really like, would you want to meet her?
Yeah.
And see what they say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like be as low key about it.
And my only thing that people throw out a lot, which
if I met a girl, would you want to meet her?
Yeah. Right? I think the only thing that people throw out a lot about living with people that you're not sure how they're going to take their reaction is that it can become hostile and it can also become dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is she to do if that's the case? Like if these people are nightmare humans and she hasn't known this whole time.
That was going to be my suggestion, is to have like a plan B, like have a place that you can stay for a little while, that you can kind of like, if they're not cool with it, you can hide out in, or just like have a roof over your head.
Yes, have a friend's house you can stay at just in case.
And it's not like you have been it's not like you've done anything to breach any sort of relationship you have with them. This is your sexual preference in your sexual identity, who you are, but like it's not like you've been sneaking girls into your room for the last 10 years.
You're not like doing anything.
You're just being yourself in their house. You're not doing anything else. And I think that that's where it starts to be like, that's where I think that parents can sometimes get upset, is like, even with straight people, they don't want to picture their kid in the act, or they don't want to picture, like that is, I think, a big thing. Like
not in my roof or what, not in my roof or whatever.
When I was 29, I had a boyfriend, and I remember bringing him home and saying to my parents, like, I know he can't sleep in my room, but like, and my parents were like, oh no, he can sleep in your room. And
mine just started doing that too.
And I was like, wait a minute though. Like in college, like I dated this guy, like when I was 22, he moved to LA with me. Yeah. Like I was like, but you wouldn't let him sleep in my room. And they were like, yeah, because we didn't like him. We just thought it was gross. Like we just didn't like, we just weren't like, you were 22. We didn't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. I think it's funny, the switch to being like, oh yeah, like they can stay, you guys can stay in the same bed, whatever.
Because they start to think maybe, oh, you're older now. Like you're probably thinking of this person as a more serious partner, as opposed to when you're 22, like you can barely make decisions.
So just be aware that it might be that and less homophobia, but also be aware, like if there's soups cash, then just like be very casual about it. But also I agree with Christina, have like a contingency plan for like where you could live if it goes south.
Did you ever say on this podcast what your mom said when you came home to her?
Yeah, so I self-identify as bi. I'm not out to my dad yet, but that's because he fairly recently has been dealing with health stuff, and so most of the time when I'm talking to him on the phone, he's either in extreme pain or on pain medications. It really kind of fucks with your brain a lot. I don't know if you know anybody who's on pain medication. It's not great.
No.
And I want to do it in person when I see him. But my mom was just like, why are you telling me now?
Yeah, she was just like, wait, what? Why now? Like, was there a reason why you have to bring it up now? Do you think she
It wasn't
knew?
like, oh, do you have to bring it up? She said that she said that she knew something was different about me, or that I might have been, she couldn't really parse out what it was.
We've talked about the Cheesecake Factory incident on here, right?
Oh, yeah.
When your mom gestured at you. So, Chris...
Yeah, go for it.
So we went to Cheesecake Factory with my mom. I hate Cheesecake Factory, but I will do anything for Diana Lopez.
My mom loves Cheesecake Factory for their like.
That's where you bring parents
for like their Mai Tais. Yeah, and I'm like, Mom, we can go to like a nice tiki bar to get Mai Tais.
That's where
she's
you
like,
bring
my mom is
Mai
a snob. My mom is very like, let's go to this small Mediterranean place.
I'm sorry that we made you guys go there.
No, are you kidding? Please, I would do anything for Diana. But
I know, and the other thing is like they live in New York City where there's great like culinary food, and they want to go to Cheesecake Factory.
Hey, comfort
you guys
food are food.
Dicks. The Olive Garden is amazing.
But
you ever been to the Outback Steakhouse in Burbank?
I Chili's is like my favorite restaurant.
Yeah.
But I think that mostly it's because there weren't many chain restaurants where I grew up, and my mom owned independent businesses, so she's like, let's go support that independent business.
All right.
Anyway.
Oh, now I'm like deeply embarrassed that we took you guys to a Cheesecake Factory.
No, I think I joked about it at the time. Yeah. Anyway, listen, you guys. So we're at Cheesecake Factory, and our moms are like talking over our heads, but in front of us, and they're having about like what they want for us and like how they like let us come out here and how it's been hard for them, but blah blah blah. And Christina's mom just starts in on something. I forget exactly what it was. She's like, I've been saying forever, I don't care what they do. I don't care. What if you're straight? She gestures at me. If you're bi, she gestures at Christina. And and this was before Christina had come out, and I like clocked it. And I was like,
that was before I come out to you too.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Is like, I was like, did Diana just call Christina bi at Cheesecake Factory? and so I like kind of bookmarked in that in my head. And then when Christina came out to me, I was like, yeah, actually, I was like, not only did I like assume something was going on out there, but I was like, your mom gestured at you 2 years ago at Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah. So, but the reason for me was like, I was in a secure place where I started to like own my sexual identity, but it was also after like the Pulse shooting happened, where there was a lot of like queer Latinos that like got killed. And so I didn't want something like that to happen to me and have my parents have it be a question. You know?
I'm Jewish and white, but and my parents knew and everything was like chill, but after the Pulse shooting, I did call them and I was like, hey guys, just a reminder, you have a queer kid and this is personal.
Yeah, I felt
and
like they
were
needed
like,
to know
okay,
that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was a fairly easy conversation. She was just kind of like, why are you telling me this now? Like, yeah, of course.
Oh, my sister.
It gave them, if anything, it gave her clarity.
My sister had the best. I like came out to her when I was in college and I said, I was like, hey, I'm bi or whatever. And she was like in high school and she just goes, does this have anything to do with me? And I was like, no. And she was like, does this affect my life at all? And I was like, no. And she was like, then who cares, Gaby? You're so dramatic. And like that was like, she was just like mad. She was like, you're being really dramatic right now. Like just, it's fine. And then that was the end of it. And I was like, that's actually pretty great. Like she's a bitch, but I was like, that's like pretty cool that she was just like, honestly, you're being really dramatic and this has nothing to do with me. Like get over yourself.
I never like formally came out to my brother. He just kind of knew.
Yeah.
And so like one day we were having a conversation. He was like, are you seeing any girls or guys right now? And I was just like,
oh,
no,
okay.
not right now. I just didn't like, we didn't expand upon it, but he like just dropped it like that.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law listens to the pod too. So hi, Clarissa.
Hi. Was that before or after you came out on the pod?
It was before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think I was like,
I would
posting
hate if our
things.
pod outed you.
No, I mean, it was like, I was like posting things, or it was something like, I think he always knew that I was interested in women, but like to what degree that was.
Right.
Yeah.
What.
Yeah, and also he's a teacher for like middle school, high school.
He
so
teaches
like
middle
he's
school.
probably seeing so much more of that and just how casual the language is.
I can't even believe it. I'm writing a second book and I went and interviewed some kids in Chicago, in like Southside Chicago at a high school, and they were all like, it was crazy. Like they're all just like, they know everything. They're out. Like they don't care. Like it's like was no big deal. And then like I went to interview a bunch of kids at a high school in Plantation, Florida. And the one girl was like wearing rainbow bracelets. And then she like tagged me in a selfie that we took. And her like Instagram bio was like, she, her, bisexual, whatever. And I was just like, can you even fucking imagine being in high school and just being like
just
chill?
These are my
like
pronouns.
putting that in your fucking Instagram bio. Like my mind was blown. So
I was embarrassed to say what music I liked in high school. Like let alone.
I couldn't believe, and they were all just like super chill.
I got straight up called a dyke in high school.
Right. I got called a dyke in college.
I did too, though. But but I did too. That was always I think my mom really, really, really was convinced and like wanted me to be okay with like that if that was the case.
Yeah.
And it was actually really fucking weird. I know that she definitely thought I was going to be a lesbian. I know that because I remember.
And she was trying to like make things okay for you.
Well, I
nice.
actually had an interesting realization. So have you seen the documentary Suited?
No.
So it's about, it's produced by Lena Dunham and Jenny Connor, but it's about this suit maker in Brooklyn that makes suits largely for the LGBTQ communities.
Oh, nice.
But specifically a lot of trans people because it's really, really hard to find a great fitting suit off the rack.
I do know that.
So they make these custom suits or whatever. And at one point they're talking about this woman's transition from female to male. And she's holding up her elementary school pictures, and they get increasingly more.
Wait, from female to male or
female to male? So she was born.
So it's a he.
He, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
He, sorry.
So he, yeah.
He. I was thinking of the younger pictures. Sorry.
Oh.
So he was going through the pictures, and he's showing his grandfather the progression of like when you start to see around like 6th grade.
Yeah.
He starts to become a lot more masculine.
Yeah.
And I realize my pictures do the exact same thing because my mom started dressing me in gender neutral clothing and cut all my hair off.
Why?
I think because she thought that I would like it better and I just didn't know that. And of course, like if you don't want your hair short and you're like a girl, like you're like, this is not like, I'm not Twiggy mom. Like, I'm not feeling like a confident, sexy woman. Like,
She was trying to help. I don't even have a 10th grade picture because I was like, I'm too gross. Like, I can't, I like knew. I was like, I can't take a photo.
Yeah. No, it's very sweet. And I'm sorry if I disappointed her, but it just was like it was really like, it was wild to see someone else have the same progression in their photos and have such a drastically different outcome than I did.
That's why you can't really, that's why there's no like narrative. Like you can't tell, like if you see a little kid who is a girl child and is like, I want to, you just let your kid do whatever, kind of. Like, you know what I mean? Like what, like if the kid is trans, amazing. If the kid is not, if the kid is a lesbian, amazing. If the kid, like you can't, like kids all have, you just have to let them express themselves.
Totally.
Like just express yourself until you figure it out on your own. And don't try to like force something on your kid.
It's a very good documentary.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really, really good stories in there. You should watch it for sure. Everyone should watch it. And I'm sorry, I'm usually better about pronouns, you guys. I was just thinking too fast. You know I'm good about pronouns. Okay, so do we have any other things?
I think just do it and
make sure you have a contingency.
Yeah, and like
plan.
Congrats.
Yeah.
I know you're very low key. Before you said everyone was low key in your family, I was gonna be like, bake a cake. But it's too much.
Right.
Like bake a cake and then the inside is rainbow. And then when they cut it, be like, big reveal. That's just, I'm too extra. Like that's just me being like the most.
Yeah. No, it's so different in also every part of the country. The Dallas of it all surprised me too. My friend who grew up, Ryan O'Connell, who grew up in Southern California.
I know Ryan.
Yes. Ryan had a huge party where he came out to his entire school, like at his house.
Oh,
and, like,
that's like
it started
insane.
with a video sketch where like he was with like his friend and she was like going in to kiss him and he was like, no, stop, wait. And she was like, what? And he turns to the camera and he's like, I'm gay. And so that was the video he showed. And then like they
had a gay party.
They all celebrated. Yeah. And like that was wild to me that, Ryan's only a couple years younger than me.
High school? Jesus.
Yeah.
That would have never happened at my high school. I was
but
so
we grew
closeted.
up in different parts of the world too. Like
I was in Florida. Where was he? California.
California.
Yes,
I was in Boston. So
Yeah.
it's just different. It's so different.
I know.
But yeah, so guys, that was a really great episode of Please Advise, I think. Gabby, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me at Gaby Dunn on Twitter and then at Gabby Road on Instagram. And then, yep. And then my channel is youtube.com/justbetweenusshow. I think those are the things. And we have a book. Allison and I have a book coming out in September that you can get on pre-order. It's called I Hate Everyone But You. It's a novel.
That's really fun. Oh, it's a novel?
Mm-hmm.
That's really cute.
Thanks.
How long did it take you guys to write that?
Very short, actually, because she's got a great work ethic.
Yeah.
So she kind of made me work on it at times when I didn't want to. So we actually wrote it really fast. But it was an idea that we had for a while.
Is she good with structure?
Yes, that's her whole deal. She's really great with structure. And then I have a podcast called Bad with Money that Malls was on. You can listen to Malls' episode of it.
Yeah, a lot of cool people who've also been on Please Advise, like Cameron Esposito, who I went to college with.
Really?
Random, right?
Oh, at BC?
Yeah, she was a year older than me. Or no, she was like 2 or 3 years older than me. Yeah. But like she was... Like, I knew she was going to be famous when I was in college. I was like, she was so funny. She was in a really, really funny improv group. Anyway, it's a really good podcast, especially you guys. I know that this is like, I've talked about having done your podcast before here, but a lot of people write in about money. And also, like, I know our demo, like, we have some people who are very high earners, and then we also have some people that are like, that were in my exact situation or are in my exact situation when I was your age. So I think that this is a really important podcast to listen to. Listen to all the episodes.
I think
It's really
particularly
good.
for women too, because women just don't talk about finance. It's just not something that's ingrained to us either as children or even socially as adults. So something like that's really important.
Thank you. Most of my guests, I try to book only female guests. That's like kind of a secret, but I think people have figured it out. But that was like on my mandate for season 2 was like no straight white men.
Yeah.
There's enough straight white men on podcasts.
That's
Yeah,
really
thank you.
smart. That's really, really smart. Fuck. Dude, did I have Baron on before or after I did Bad with Money? Because I think you and I were talking about.
Oh yeah, we've been trying to get him on, but he's a friend from a long time ago from Boston, but he's a busy dude. He broke my mind with his basically explaining to me why children of single mothers have such a hard time getting their shit together around finance. And it was something we kind of touched He's very
on.
smart.
But then he dropped that bomb on me because I was like, hey, wait, by the way, I think I just did this podcast and I was wondering, like, what's your theory on this? And he broke it down for me and he's like, oh, women are set up to fail. And he's like, and single moms are extra set up to fail.
Yeah.
And so they're just in panic mode all the time.
It's very systemic, yeah.
It's fucking nuts, dude. So yeah, that was wild. He would be, I mean, I don't need to tell you, he'd be a great guest. Thank you so much for coming here, you guys. You can always call the show 323-450-7408 or email askpleaseadvise@gmail.com. You guys can find Christina at Christina Lopez on Instagram, on Twitter, and also she's Hey K Lopez on Snappy. I'm Malls on Twitter, Instagram, and Malls Official on Snappy. Hey, Malls. Don't. Fuck you.
Appreciate
Can
you.
you literally go get fucked? I can't even leave my house and get fucked. No, it's just someone sent it to me at Starbucks the other day too. I was so upset. I'm like, does he know? Like, does he listen to the podcast and he's roasting me? Someone
yes,
calls
probably.
Fuck off. Oh God, it's so everyone appreciates me and they love Christina and they appreciate me. So thanks. You guys have a good week and I love you. I don't just appreciate you. I love and appreciate you. Bye.